All right. Hi there. My name is Matt Jordan. I work for Logitech Video Collaboration, and I'm going to be talking to you about some of the changing environmentals of the space that we find ourselves working in, as well as the technology that enables that space to be used so that we can have great audio and video collaboration. So let's talk about where we're at today. We're going to be talking about conference rooms specifically and where Logitech Video Collaboration plays into that space with some of our new offerings like you see in this slide, which will allow you to have a single one-touch solution in room. We'll show some of the benefits that you will be able to achieve with this new topology, and we'll give you some additional resources and have a Q&A at the end of it all to answer any questions that you may have about what we're talking about. So let's talk about meeting rooms today. Meeting rooms are evolving. The way that we're using these meeting rooms are evolving, but one thing that is a constant is that we're spending more and more time, both in minutes as well as our percentage each day in these meetings. And where in the past attendance may have just meant showing up, now work is actually getting done because work is being enabled by the tools that are used in these meetings, used in these conference calls, so that we can actually get things done while we're meeting. And that's by adding in things like audio, web, and video collaboration. And even though these tools are helping simplify and streamline our workflow, allowing us to be more productive when we are in these meetings, we actually see a great disparity when we're talking about the number of rooms in conference room spaces that are actually video enabled. And hopefully that by seeing my ugly mug here today and being able to see the video that I'm sending along, you can see that video really can change the way that people communicate, and that hopefully this is adding something to this conversation above and beyond just what is available here. So I know that we all have had conference rooms that we've worked in, maybe designed and deployed ourselves that look like this, where you have maybe a PBX hard phone at the tabletop. You may have a LAN drop so that people can plug into the network, but no video conferencing. And as we've adopted more and more of these smartphone technologies, that PBX phone that may have been used in yesteryear, may have been used for audio-only conferencing, isn't being used at all. And if you're an IT administrator, you're paying a license fee, you're paying for installation, you're paying for that PBX, and those costs and that complexity is not necessarily the way that people are getting business done nowadays. So maybe you have a lot of conference rooms like this and you're looking at how can we take it from that paradigm of audio only and move it into a video first experience. And we'll be talking about that today. There's quite a few conference rooms that look like this. Once again, might have a desktop phone. It might have, a speaker phone at the table. It might have a great HDMI monitor in the room that allows for, someone to bring their laptop and either using an HDMI cord or, through a wireless technology, share their desktop, but really only share the data collaboration. What's missing in this space is the video conferencing, having a camera, having a mic, having a speaker, and making it easy to use in the room for end users, whether they're using it in this space or the space before, these phone booths, or maybe you have the need to build out the next generation video collaboration in that boardroom or in that multi-use space. And Logitech has solutions for the largest rooms down to the smallest space. And we have developed these solutions in conjunction with market leaders that you all probably use today to give you an excellent room-based solution, no matter if it is in the boardroom or, in that small mid-room or small room space. We've got a solution for you, and I'll be talking about that today. So Gone are the days, I hope for you all, where you have multiple remote controls in the room. Multiple remote controls may have been used in years past, one to turn on a television, one to, control the lighting in the room, another one that controls the, video conferencing codec that could only speak to other codecs of the same type. And with each one of these remotes or each one of these disparate systems in the room, you're introducing some complexity, maybe some confusion for your end users, and that's not what we want to have. And the room-based systems of today are really getting rid of the need for these multiple remotes. And in fact, we have solutions now today that don't require any remote. And so as we evolved from the multi-remote disparate systems, we started moving into, these turnkey room-based systems. And Logitech has, been in this space for some time. In fact, something very similar to the slide that I'm showing right here, Logitech was in partnership with Microsoft using our Smart Dock, which is a physical enclosure like you see at the table here for a Surface device. And we've been selling that solution with Microsoft for Skype for Business and now Teams for 3+ years. But during that time, we learned a lot about the room topology. We learned a lot about how end users interact. And we think that there can be some improvements to the overall design. First off, that Surface device that's sitting at the table, it's taking up a lot of space. In a huddle room where you have a limited table space, do you want this to be taking up so much space? Is it adding anything to the conversation once you start the call with that one-touch join? Are you really interacting with it too often? We also learned, that having the computer at the table may not be the best topology for that room-based system. Because if a cable gets unplugged here at the table that is connected to the room's front of room HDMI monitors, well, that room-based system doesn't work very well. Another thing that we learned about is the camera placement and how Logitech does intelligent framing based on our 4K camera's ability to look for human bodies. Some partners, some other manufacturers may use voice recognition. So if I'm the top talker, maybe it would follow me around the room. And maybe, if excuse me, I'm going to move the camera myself using a preset to show you that we believe Logitech actually wants to look and listen for the human body, so that if there was a second person here in the room, and it's a horrible example because I'm standing here all by myself, but if there was a second person, we would frame the shot according to the multiple people in the room, so that when I'm talking so much that this gentleman that's on the other side of the table starts rolling his eyes at me, you can actually see that on the far end. And that type of nonverbal communication actually adds a lot to the conversation above using an active speaker modality. Logitech also learned about some of the cognitive dissonance that having a speakerphone at the table may provide. Because in this example, maybe I have a speakerphone to the left of me, and I hear Nancy's voice who's on the far end coming out of that speakerphone. So I turn and I look to the speakerphone where I hear Nancy, and I start talking to Nancy this way at the speakerphone that's at the table, or even behind me if the speakerphone's behind me, instead of looking at the screen where I see Nancy's face. So taking some of these key learnings, Logitech has evolved its overall topology to be able to address and improve on this. And let me show you how we've done so. So what we're looking at right now is actually a picture depicting the new Logitech Tap Device, which is the device that you see here in the front of this slide. This is a USB touch display that is connected via a single USB connection back to a small computer. That computer can run either a Zoom room or a Microsoft Teams and or Skype for Business room, or a Google Hangouts Meet hardware solution. And the touch display, the tap device itself, is a very slimline, elegant piece of hardware that gives you that one-touch joining of those various platforms, allows you to control the call without taking up a lot of real estate on the table. I talked a little bit about the camera and how we use our 4K sensor to look and listen, look for a human body, not listening for my voice, not looking for my face. If I had my back turned and I was not speaking, this Logitech camera would be able to frame me at the whiteboard, and if a second person came into the room, took a seat at the table, realized there were two people, and even if that person never spoke, set the shot accordingly so that when I don't shut up and that second person rolls their eyes, as they inevitably do, you're able to see that on the far end. And this is through the use of our 4K camera and our machine intelligence, the artificial intelligence that our camera can provide. And even when it comes down to a lower resolution than the 4K sensor, maybe it's only transmitting in 720 HD at 30 frames per second because that's what the application uses, you're still able to get that intelligence from the 4K sensor. And going on from the cameras that Logitech provides, I've talked about how we're using our bodies to capture all the humans in the shot and set the shotting accordingly. But in addition, I want to talk about how having the speaker at the front of the room adds to the communication style that you would want to have in a video collaboration. So instead of that example where I'm turning and I'm looking at the speakerphone that may be beside me or behind me, I'm hearing Nancy's voice in front of me where I see Nancy's face on the front of room display. So I'm more naturally speaking to those remote participants, bringing them in and having them feel like they're more a part of the conversation than if they were looking, at the side of me, or if I was not framing my shot accordingly. The last component of the Logitech equation is the mic pod that you see at the table. That mic pod is for our rally system. If you're 15 feet from that mic, its active beamforming technology is sampling for the human voice over 100 times a second. And if you're 15 feet or less from that mic pod, you're going to be able to be heard. And that mic pod is smart enough to know that that voice from Nancy that's coming out of the speaker in the front of the room is actually far end audio, and it shouldn't be listened to at all locally. So the mics and the speakers are working hand in glove with one another to ensure that you can hear the far end can hear you. And that beamforming technology is making sure it's listening for Matt's voice and not the construction going on outside the room, not the AC vent that may be blowing onto the microphone pod, because that's not a human voice that needs to be transmitted in this type of communication. Now let's talk a little bit more about the Tap device. The Tap device is new to market. It is a USB touch display. It is going to be plugged in with a single USB connection from the Tap device to a computer. That computer is running one of our 3 partner applications, either the Zoom room, the Microsoft Teams room / Skype for Business rooms, or the Google Hangouts Meet hardware solution. And what you get with this is a single touch interface that allows you to control the call, be able to make use of the application fully without being overpowering in a space. And if you want it left at the table, it is quick and it's easy to deploy at the table. We also have some mounts that allow you to lock it down and lock down the cable management so that your end users don't reverse engineer the solution. And it also has a Visa mount. So a lot of intelligence built into this device, both from a physical design perspective, as well as the intelligence that we've made in a part of the solution with regards to the motion sensor, or with regards to the cable management that you now see here. So after 3 years of having room-based systems, we know how important cable management is. And so we've really made it simple with the Logitech Tap. We have everything from pressurized cable management that allows you to bring it out of the back of the device, We also have strain relief at the bottom, so that it's taking any of the strain of cables being pulled. If it's being pulled across the table, these power and USB and HDMI, the three cables that you see here, will not be unplugged inadvertently. So let's go through those three ports that are on the device. We have a power at the far left-hand side. That's giving power to the Tap device. The Tap device, being a USB touch display, needs power to operate. The second connection is a USB connection. That USB connection is a USB Type-C connection at Tap, running over a Logitech strong USB 10-meter cord. This is a game changer, folks. If you get excited about wires, then this cable is exciting news for you, because strong USB is a USB 3.1, 3.0, 2.0 cable that has a 10-meter length that ships with it. So you get that USB 3.0 throughput over distance. And it's a C to A connection. The A connection is plugged into the computer that's running your Zoom room, running your Teams room, running your Hangouts Meet hardware room. And then that last cable on the right-hand side is an HDMI ingest. This is optional. This is what makes it quick and easy for me to be able to bring my laptop into my partners here at Rahi System, and without even joining a Google Hangouts call, or without even joining a Zoom call, or without even being on a Microsoft Teams call, I plug in HDMI and I'm sharing locally in room. Alternatively, if I am in that Zoom call or that Hangouts Meet hardware call, the HDMI ingest now supports across all three platforms. You plug in that HDMI ingest from the Tap device to the local laptop, and you're sharing into your meeting. And there's nothing that the end user needs to do other than plug in that HDMI, and they're sharing, and they unplug at the end of their sharing, and they've stopped sharing. The room goes back to its normal use case. So three cables that are going to be securely fastened at the table with multiple mounting options that allow you to have either the cables drop out through a grommet that I'll show you here shortly for the table. You can have wall mounts. You can have a Visa mount. So if you have this on a cart and you wanted to have this Tap device available on the cart, you could Visa mount it. All right, moving on. We've made it very, very simple for our customers to adopt this new topology. We have three different bundles that we sell for Tap. We have a small room, we have a medium room, and we have a large room. In each one of these, you're going to get the Logitech Tap device, that USB touch display. You're going to get the 10-meter USB, strong USB cord that connects up to the computer. You're going to get that mini PC like you get with Zoom and with the Microsoft option, or that Chrome box for the Google Hangouts Meet hardware. You're going to get that across all three bundles. What's different is the camera, mic, and speaker that we sell with the bundles. So for the small room, we have our all-in-one device. That's what I'm using actually to speak to you on today. The Meetup is a 4K camera with a 120-degree field of view. It also has a mechanical pan and tilt, as I've shown you. That 4K sensor allows me to stand in front of these Venetian blinds and not look like I'm in witness protection here today. And it's got, the Meetup has three beamforming mics. They're listening for the human voice, sampling for that human voice, making sure that the best human voice and not an echo, not a AC vent, not a construction site is being carried over. Working hand in glove with the speaker, which is on the other side of the sound bar. And that speaker is actively telling those microphones, hey, this is far end audio. So you don't have to listen to it at all, making sure that the far end is heard and you can hear the far end as well, all in an all-in-one device. So that's our small room bundle. The middle room offering is the Rally system. The Rally system is what I've been using in the examples thus far. For the mid-size room, medium room bundle, you get one camera. The camera is a 15 times zoom 4K camera. You get one microphone pod. That microphone pod, as long as you're 15 feet from that microphone pod, its 8 active beams are actively sampling over 100 times a second for that human voice. And then one speaker. So that is our mid-room solution. And then in the large room bundle, you get an additional microphone pod, you get an additional speaker for the additional mic and speaker output. You also get some additional mounting options with the mid to large. So we'll talk a little bit about that as I move on as well. And really, at the end of the day, what you've got to figure out is how many small, medium, or large rooms do I have, and then which of these partners, joys of a live demo, folks, that slide disappeared, but you choose either the Zoom, the Microsoft, or the Google flavors for any of these 3 bundles. Now, I talked about various cabling options to make sure that it looks and sounds great and your end users don't inadvertently or on purpose reverse engineer your rooms. There are table mounts for the Tap device, so you can have all the cables come directly out the bottom. Your end users would never see that. It's got a 180-degree fielded swivel on it, so the cables will stay secure, but you can change the view. We also sell additional mic pods, so in the Rally system, you can have up to 7 mic pods in a room, and each one of these mic pods also have a cable management, so you can hide the cables and have it locked down at a table so that you don't have the mics move around or get unplugged, or if you want to just make sure that it looks really, really good and clean in the room, we've got the cabling solutions to make sure that it does. I talked about the mounting options. There's a table mount, there's a riser mount. The riser mount allows you to have it at a larger table. The wall mount will actually invert the video image on the touch display. So if you had it at the wall behind you, you could have your controls there, especially in like a huddle room or in a phone booth scenario. The wall mount really lends itself. That's also where the Visa mount can come into play if you wanted to put that on a cart as well. So I talked about, choosing the size room, choosing the platform. So once you do that, you place your order for the small configuration. You're going to get the meetup, and you're going to get it with Teams, or Microsoft Skype for Business. And you get everything from the computer to the application that's running on it, and then you as an end user would put your own license or account onto the RoomBased system. But the nice thing about ordering this whole bundle, from the USB peripherals to the USB touch display at the table to the computer that it's all connected to, is that when you call in for support, you're going to get support on that computer, on that application, on our USB devices from Logitech. And that support for the Logitech video collaboration solutions is for 2 years, and it's for free. So as we introduce new features and functions like that auto framing with our 4K cameras, you're going to be able to download that as a firmware update for free. If the device ever has a mechanical failure and it's within that 2-year period, you can call in and get an RMA for that device. And it is a complete service offering across our devices as well as the applications when you buy the Tap bundle. We do have a white level concierge service that is referenced here on the right-hand side of the screen, talking about the Microsoft Teams offering, where we can offer you in the first 90 days a jumpstart solution that will help you get that Teams evolution, taking into account all the various components that the Microsoft Teams offering entails. If you'd like to find out a little bit more information, there's some really fun videos that are out there where an IT guy wows the office with how easy it is to start a call with just one touch join using the Logitech Tap device. And then we've got another great example of how 2 6-year-olds, Ella and Lucy, put together a Zoom room offering using the Logitech Tap Device, effectively putting me out of a job. So if you want to take a look at those videos, they're available online. Highly recommend it. Thank you very much for your time. We're going to move over into some Q&A. Thank you. I'm Matt Jordan. Thank you for listening.
All right, Matt, we got a few questions here. Let's go ahead and get started. First question is, what challenges drives organizations to explore video collaboration?
Boy, that's a great question. There's quite a few things that are really leading the charge with the adoption of video collaboration. I mean, we all have heard quite a bit about climate change and people wanting to lower their carbon footprint, and I think that people have used carbon footprints to justify video collaboration or cutting down on travel for decades now. But more often than not nowadays, I really think that it's down to getting things done. And we're working in a geographically dispersed workforce where we have people working in the office, but maybe they're working from the road, maybe they're working from their home office, and having these tools to be available across all the different places where people are working has really lent itself to that geographically dispersed workforce that we're finding ourselves in. And then lastly, I think that, the changing office space and being able to have more and more collaboration spaces of different sizes, from the individual phone booth becoming video enabled to the huddle room for those impromptu meetings, to offices that are now being turned into conference rooms so that people can get this business done.
Awesome. That was great. Appreciate that. Another question here regarding the hardware. Can the Logitech Tap be purchased without the computer?
So the Tap device is a USB touch display, and because it is a turnkey room-based solution for our 3 different partners, Zoom, Microsoft, and Google, we sell it with the compute, and there's several different reasons why. First, it allows us to ensure that application, that Zoom room or that Google Hangouts Meet hardware call looks and sounds great because the computer has the hardware spec that the application and even the operating system provider has identified. So, we know that the hardware is going to be working for that type of call, for that type of communication, HD, video, and audio. But also it helps with regards to support because we know what the computer is that's powering that Zoom room or powering that Hangouts Meet hardware or Microsoft Teams room experience, so that if there is ever a need for calling into the free support that Logitech offers with the Tap-enabled bundles, you're able to ensure that we give you the best support all the way down to the computer hardware. And so we only sell the bundles in the small, medium, and large. And with those 3 different flavors of bundles, you get the Tap, you get the computer, and then you get the appropriate camera, speaker, and mic for that room.
Awesome. That's pretty simple. Good to know. Let's see here. Got one more here. Awesome question. What distinguishes the cloud video providers in the market?
Well, I think that one of the things that we see that really has enabled this proliferation, easy for me to say, of video collaboration is the fact that these cloud-based providers can work across a multitude of different device types and use cases. So whereas, 10 years ago, you had to go into that boardroom to do video conferencing because that was the only space in the office that worked with video conferencing. Now with the addition of a USB all-in-one meetup device, I can bring my laptop into a huddle room and be running on a Zoom room experience or on a Teams experience on my iPhone device. So, multi-operating system success, even for applications like Microsoft Teams, working on these devices, enabling me to work wherever I find myself working. And because it is a cloud-based solution, these clients are always kept up to the latest and greatest. So another, kind of gotcha from yesteryear was, once you deployed these systems, if you didn't keep up to date, if you didn't update the firmware, the software, and maybe in some cases uplift the hardware, in these rooms, you didn't get the features and functionalities. And now that these applications are building those features and functions into the application at a cloud level, when there are these new additions, be it improvements in audio and video codecs, or be it a new feature like a whiteboarding function, it's just pushed out to the devices via the cloud-based topology. So really exciting times, allowing for us to use audio and video and web collaboration across multiple devices, across rooms, large and small, no matter which platform you're choosing. And with the Logitech bundle that you get with the Tap, you can choose to have a Zoom, a Microsoft Teams or Skype solution, or a Google Hangout meets hardware solution for any size room you may need.
That's great to know, Matt. Nice. Very good to know that the hardware is ready to go with any of the cloud video providers out there. That just about wraps up today's time for any additional questions, but please feel free to reach out to us directly at sales@rockysystems.com. In addition to that too, please make sure you check out our partner page at rockysystems.com. Thanks again, Matt. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, folks.
Thanks, everyone.